Well, hello friends, pro-life leader Frank Pavone here with my daily diary segment covering the first 3 days of November in 2023. What did I do? Well, on Wednesday, November 1st, I was here in the office, did my usual morning staff briefing, and then meetings with individual staff to get certain projects going or to get status reports on projects that are going on, and then went downtown to pick up a rental car that I would use later in the day. Got back to the office and hopped on a 90-minute board meeting call of the National Pro-Life Religious Council, of which I serve as president. It is an interdenominational religious pro-life group. Lutherans for Life, Presbyterians pro-life, Methodists, various other denominations represented, Lutherans, and we had our board meeting from 10:30 to noon. Grabbed a quick lunch, checked in with more staff, and then got in the car and drove to Mar-a-Lago. Actually drove to a nearby hotel and checked in. On the way, I listened to important podcasts for me to get key information for my work and for my broadcasts, and had some phone calls as well. And then at Mar-a-Lago, once I checked into the hotel, checked in with a couple of staff before then going to Mar-a-Lago, and it was a nice evening event around the poolside with all kinds of top political leaders. I saw, as you may have seen on my social media, Rudy Giuliani there, and Dan Bongino, Dinesh D'Souza. The purpose of going there and having this big gathering was the premiere screening of the film Police State. It's actually been out already in theaters and online, policestatefilm.net. But we had a special showing at Mar-a-Lago with a good number of influencers there and had some great conversations with lots of people. So that event went pretty late, and Mark Houck was there, whose home was raided by the FBI, pro-life activist from Philadelphia. Talked with him and then went back to my hotel and went to bed for what was going to be a very short night, because the next morning I got up about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and headed to the Palm Beach airport, which fortunately was very close by to the hotel, and grabbed a 6 a.m. flight to Charlotte, and then a connecting flight to Washington, D.C. Now, as usual, of course, in the morning, the early flight, I slept on the plane and then did some email work on the way to D.C., landed in D.C. and went right to the Museum of the Bible, where a meeting of pro-life leaders that we coordinate was already underway. About 50 national pro-life leaders gathering together for a day of strategizing and updating one another. This happens every quarter. We had a very successful meeting. I interacted with the other leaders as well as with my staff. When the meeting was over, I went over to our hotel, just a little short walk from the Museum of the Bible, checked in, and then I had a 5:15 p.m. phone call with our fundraising staff, making some plans. Actually, not simply about fundraising. It was about a cooperative effort on Catholic broadcasting, so online educational broadcasting. So I had that meeting for about half an hour, and then joined up with some of my staff who were helping to run the leaders meeting, and we went out for a nice dinner that evening there in Washington, D.C. Came back, went to bed pretty early, and then Friday, November 3rd, met up with, some of the email things I was dealing with in those 2 days as I was traveling back and forth to D.C., administrative phone call plans, planning of spots for broadcast, for Right Side Broadcasting when they cover President Trump's speeches. An article that some of my canonical advisors are putting together about shunning. Shunning as a tactic of cults, not supposed to be a practice of the Christian church, but of cults. And the reason why we're writing about that is that's how some people treat me, and we're going to talk about that with our critics, our enemies, and our shunners. Giving approval to appeal letters, and also working with our attorneys on FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act. It's a great way to get inside the enemy when you're talking about the government and the political left. we'll see what we're going to do in regard to that. And then communication with Father Dave Begany, one of our priests at Priests for Life, and talking to him about joining me for a broadcast that you will see in regard to our clergy training, and then some work on our plans for prospecting. We'll be doing some special mailings pretty soon to reach new people. Then Friday, November 3rd, I was in the hotel in D.C. I met with a couple of my staff for a morning breakfast at around 7. And then we got into an Uber and we went to the airport and we got a flight back to Orlando. On the way, I was doing a lot of work on my emails, doing such things as having to do with donor mailings, some contents for the donor mailings, communication with pro-life leaders in regard to the leaders who are jailed right now for peaceful pro-life activity, planning for the January prayer service, planning for future broadcasts, communicating about donor relations, communicating with our social media team, communicating with our resource department about books they need me to sign. Once I'm back in the office, I like to personalize these books that go out to you. Preparing classes on Mark Levin's book, The Democrat Party Hates America. Key to pro-life success is getting the Democrats out of power. Praise quotes that are put up by my social media team. I had some input on that for them. And let's see, the Chamber of Commerce here in Titusville, some communication with staff who are in turn communicating with them. Preparation and approval of email headers that go out, the header for emails of our newsletter. Communication with our social media team about our Getter account, improving that, and communication in regard to an upcoming meeting of Silent No More awareness campaign, and communication about our streaming schedule of online broadcasts that hopefully you watch all the time. Got back to the office around 1:45 and jumped right in with our staff to various work that had to take place at the office in various meetings, unpacked things, caught up on messages, gave some tasks to staff pertinent to the leaders meeting that we just held, went around the office and distributed all those things. Was here in the studio at 4 p.m. for a taping for the evening's broadcast, and right after that had a 4:45 p.m. conversation with some of our administrative and finance team about some arrangements we're making with donors, and then settled in for an evening of quiet work, getting staff updates from them in terms of end-of-day emails, and signing a lot of books and cards, birthday cards that we send out to people, and signing my book that we are sending out, proclaiming the message of life, and other things, some Christmas preparations too, because Christmas is on the horizon. So those are some of the things I did November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 2023. I hope your pro-life work is going well. We are working for you, for the unborn, for the Lord, and continue to support our work. We will together gain the victory. God bless you. We'll talk to you soon.